G'day YouTube, Rob here. Must be time to answer my Q&A questions. So big thanks to everyone that left me a question. There's some really good questions there, and I'm looking forward to answering them. So we'll get stuck in. The first set of questions is from Mr. Oz 1985, aka Nathan. I think his first question was, what's my favourite film genre? Well, I sort of have probably, I like all different types of, movies and, different sort of genres and stuff. But if I had to sort of pick one, I'd probably say animation. I'm a big sort of fan of animation, sort of 80s, sort of 80s sort of, hand-drawn animation and sort of, pre-80s sort of stuff. And some good sort of CGI ones too, but I'm just more a fan of sort of the art style and the sort of the hand-drawn ones. I just like animation because it's just, pretty much you can do anything you want. You can draw any sort of creatures or, sort of backgrounds or any sort of, anything that you want really, and just come up with some, fantastic sort of stories, and just some of it's just, just pure fantasy and pure, sort of science fiction. So that's why I just really like animation. Also just art design, and some, especially the 80s or, hand-drawn stuff. It's just, some of it's just really mind-blowing and just, fantastic. Probably my others probably would have to be I don't mind sort of foreign cinema, especially sort of French sort of cinema and stuff. I need to probably sort of watch a bit more of that though. I've got a few movies, and I do try and watch as much movies as I can sometimes, but there's probably lots of sort of foreign movies out there that I've never sort of seen, and I just love the culture. I just really like sort of French movies. I think they're just really different to at least Australian or American movies or whatever. Or the sort of the movies that I sort of that we normally sort of watch. I think they've got a very different sort of way to sort of shoot movies, and great sort of characters and great sort of stories. I think just foreign cinema. I guess it's like a different culture, I suppose. That's probably why I sort of find it very sort of interesting. Okay, next question is, how many DVDs or Blu-rays are in my collection? I did have a sort of a rough count before, very sort of rough. I think I worked out, it probably got around 450 Blu-rays, I think, and probably around 300 DVDs. That's probably not quite accurate 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's probably fairly sort of close. Next question was, what's the longest movie that I've ever sort of seen? Probably to be the Lord of the Rings movies that I watched the other day. I think they were close to sort of 4 hours long or something. So I reckon that'd probably definitely be the longest sort of movies that I've sort of watched. And the fourth question that Nathan asked was, how often do I go to the cinema? I used to go a fair bit to the cinema. I probably used to go at least once a week or every couple of weeks or so. I haven't been for probably a month or two though. I've recently got a job, so that's sort of taken up a fair chunk of my time. So I haven't sort of had a chance to go to the cinema and stuff. But I do enjoy going to the cinema. It can be quite expensive though. So, but yeah, I think it's always a good experience going to the cinema usually. So yeah, thanks for your questions, Nathan. The next set of questions comes from DrHasslein. Okay, Kevin. Thanks for your questions, Kevin. First question was, is there a film that's ever really offended me? Which is actually a good question. Had to have a bit of a think about that one. I mean, there's films like, I don't know, I've never sort of seen them, but you've got the Serbian film and Human Centipede, and I've seen the first couple of Saw movies and stuff. I'm not necessarily a fan of those sort of, I don't know, torture porn, as people like to call them, movies. I think they're a bit sort of, I don't know, a bit gross and a bit perverted, I think, or at least I think they are. I don't know, people might not necessarily agree with me. So I don't necessarily like those films. I've never seen them, so I probably, I can't criticise them, I suppose, but anyway. I'm just trying to think of like another movie though. I mean, there was I don't know, this might sound a bit, people might be shocked by this, but I think the movie Avatar, I remember going to the cinema and watching that back in 2009, and just really offended by that movie. Not necessarily perhaps the movie itself, I suppose, but more the sort of the subject matter, and I guess it was probably just me perhaps that just, I don't know. A lot of people really love that movie. I mean, I do have it on Blu-ray. I've got to perhaps rewatch it again. So I might have a different experience, might perhaps have a different opinion perhaps after I watch it the second time. I don't know, but just the whole sort of mean, I don't know, the whole idea of just sort of the big sort of, big corporation, or the, just sort of going in and basically, not caring about anyone else and just going in because they want the, I don't know, whatever, just, under the tree, whatever that stuff is, I don't know, oil, or, I don't know, it could be sort of, whatever the thing's going to be, oil or gold, or, just sort of going in and just basically destroying everything just to sort of, get that precious, my precious, a mineral out or whatever, and just, sort of the Sam Worthington character sort of, he sort of plays along with this, and, spends most of the movie, doing this, and then at the last minute, it's, oh no, this is not right, and sort of the last minute, going in and sort of saving everyone, type thing. I don't know, it's just, I don't know, just in some ways it's a very sort of typical Hollywood movie, I think. But I don't know, I'm probably not explaining that very well, but anyway, that's my answer. Next question was, what kind of music do I like? I've got a very sort of broad range taste in music. I mean, everything's, sort of, soft stuff. Like I was listening to, Dean Martin the other day, and all the way up to sort of, more heavy stuff like Metallica, or, some of the more sort of heavy sort of bands. I think when I was in sort of, when I was in high school and college, I was actually listening to a fair bit of sort of punk music. Sort of got the, the modern '90s sort of stuff like, Green Day and Rancid, NoFX, and sort of, 70s stuff like, the Clash and the Jam and stuff like that. I was actually in a band. I used to play bass in a band for a few years in high school and college. I think the rest of the band was pretty good, but I wasn't all that crash out. We played like a few school concerts, and played the Beatles and Rolling Stone song, and we played a huge amount of sort of we were big sort of Black Sabbath fans. We used to play a lot of that stuff. It's pretty much what we played the most, type thing. So that was really fun. I really did enjoy playing that band. But I think sort of these days, I think I perhaps sort of watch more movies, I think, than I do actually listen to music. I mean, I listen to music in the car and stuff, so I'm always listening to music, but I think in some ways I've sort of watching more movies, I think, these days. I think these days I listen to, I still listen to, some of the old sort of stuff that I used to listen to, but I did listen to a fair bit. There's a band called Typo Negative. They're sort of a really sort of, I don't know what you class it as, probably sort of heavy metal goth music, I suppose, or sort of folk music, I suppose. They're a really good band, I think. So I listened to a fair bit of that, of them, and just I didn't, still listen to a bit of Green Day, and Dire Straits, and I listened to a fair bit of blues music too. George Thorogood and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Just sort of stuff like that, I suppose. So that's a broad range though. Like a bit of jazz and heavy metal, folk music, bit of country occasionally. Sometimes I'm not a huge country fan, but I don't mind a bit of Dwight Yoakam or something like that. But anyway, all different sort of stuff anyway. And the third question that Kevin asked was any other hobbies that I have besides movie collecting. I think probably movies is probably the big one. I'm also a bit of a computer nerd. I do like sort of playing around with computers and stuff like that. And I do take a bit of interest in computer security as well. I think that's a really sort of interesting subject, I think. A lot of stuff sort of goes on that people don't know about. A lot of sort of breaches of big corporations and stuff like that. There's a guy called Steve Gibson. He does like a podcast every week. I think it's every Wednesday, I think, which goes for probably like, I don't know, half an hour to 2 hours, sometimes, and he just sort of spends the whole 2 hours just talking about breaches and new sort of security stuff, and new sort of software and encryption, and just a really sort of interesting subject, I think. Very interesting subject, I think, that one. Probably not for everyone, I suppose, but I think it's definitely really interesting. So that's questions from Kevin. Next questions are from Craig Williams. Thanks for questions. Okay, name your top 5 movies on top of your head, if possible, or ones that come to mind. That's going to be really hard. I mean, I could probably list more than 5, I suppose. Really, some really great movies out there. I mean, you got like some of the ones that I've sort of been watching since a kid. Stand by Me and Blues Brothers and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. What else is there? Probably my favourite animated movie would have to be probably Heavy Metal, 1981 that came out. But you got a lot of more modern films, I suppose. Like American Beauty and $1 Million Baby. I'm sure there's a lot of, I'm very blank now, I suppose. I'm sure there's a lot more than that. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of my head. But there's some great films out there anyway. Next question is, what's my favourite TV show right now of all time? I think there's probably not too many sort of shows that I sort of watch. It's like new shows that I watch. Probably Big Bang Theory is probably one of my favourite shows at the moment. I think that's just a really funny and very well written show. I think really just sort of on geek culture and nerd culture and great sort of characters and just really funny. Also, I mean, I was a big sort of fan of the Walking Dead. But also, I've sort of lost a bit of interest in that though. I mean, I watched probably the first, series 3, and I think I watched the first half of that before they had the break, and I haven't sort of watched the new when it's returned. I haven't sort of watched it after that. It's just I don't know. Sometimes I just sort of lost interest in it. I just didn't think it was I don't know, quite as good. Sort of when they got to the when they got to the prison and that sort of where that sort of town is, where the sort of with the governor type thing. So I haven't sort of seen past sort of the mid break. I have sort of heard a few spoilers though from people about Daryl and stuff like that, But I'm pretty sure I'll get back into it. I don't know. To me, it just doesn't seem quite as good as it used to be. I don't know. Anyway, what else do I watch? Oh, like Breaking Bad. That's another good show that I've sort of been watching. I think they're the main 3 that I think I've recent sort of shows that I've been watching. I don't sort of tend to watch a lot of sort of new TV shows. This one was my favourite TV show of all time. I've sort of been asked that question before and gave various answers on that. But I have to say, if I had to choose a show, now this is a show that it's one of the shows I can watch sort of all 5 seasons of it and then just go back to series 1 and start from the very first episode and just rewatch the whole thing again. It's a show that no one's probably heard of. I'd be really surprised if some people might have heard of it, but just a great show, I think. I think it went from 1986 to 1991, so it's a really sort of 80s sort of show, so it's a bit sort of dated slightly. It's a show called Brushstrokes, so I just absolutely love this show. I don't know, I think in some ways I can just sort of, the main character just reminds me of myself. I think I can sort of really relate to him in some ways. It's actually sort of about this Jacko. He's like the main character, and he's a painter. He sort of paints with his brother-in-law, and Jacko sort of lives with them sort of upstairs, little apartment and stuff, and just a really sort of funny comedy show, I think. Just really sort of witty, and it's very much a show that it's a 1980s show, and it's a very sort of this very sort of pro women aspect to it, sort of women's lib type thing, before this sort of show, I think you had a lot of, whenever you sort of watched like a TV show, it was all, in some ways it was very sort of treated, you know, women as sort of, I don't know, sort of, you know, sex objects, like, you know, like the Benny Hill show or something like that, and or it's just the women are a bit more, like, you sort of used to have, like, Jacko's very much a ladies' man, so he's very much like, he used to sort of, you know, obviously he'd ask you know, the ladies out type thing, whereas in this show it's sort of a time when the women started to be a bit more active in that, sort of asking the men out, and sort of, you know, sort of proving that sort of in some ways women weren't just sort of dumb, you know, type thing. I'm not probably explain that very well, but it's very much a, I don't know, I can sort of notice sort of this sort of, I don't know, start of, you know, women started having a bit more of an active role, I think, you know, sort of being rather intelligent, you know, type things, instead of just being treated as sort of, you know, beautiful women, or just, you know, there just to look pretty. I don't know, I'll probably explain that very well anyway. But yeah, definitely, it's just a really sort of funny show, and witty, and yeah, I just love it. But anyway, so that's that'd have to be my favourite show of all time. So that's Craig's questions. Thanks for them. Next questions are from ANDREWBALLINA. First question is, if I could go back in time and watch any movie for the first time in the theatre or cinema, which movie would it be and why? I think probably some of the big sort of blockbusters, you know, like, you know, the original sort of Star Wars trilogy, and I reckon that'd be really sort of great to sort of see on the big screen. You know, Indiana Jones or Jurassic Park, or just some of the sort of the big sort of epic sort of blockbuster movies. I reckon they'd be really good to sort of see. It'd be good to sort of see it on screen, I think. Next question is, what's my most anticipated movie for the year? Well, there's going to be a lot of, I've actually got a list here. I sort of did make a bit of a list, did a bit of a search, and there's lots of films coming out. You know, you got like a lot of sort of remakes or reboots, I noticed. You know, you got the new sort of, it's going to be like a new Wolverine film, and a new Fast and Furious film, and new Pirates of the Caribbean, and Jurassic Park, and he's going to get Taken 3, I think I heard. Austin Powers at some point. You know, the RoboCop. But I've got a few films that I am looking forward to. I reckon probably The Hobbit. I really did like the first sort of installment of that. I thought that was just an absolutely great film to watch in the cinema. You know, got Kick-Ass, the Evil Dead movie. I reckon that would be pretty good. I reckon. War Z. I reckon that'd be pretty cool. You know, The Man of Steel, Star Trek, Iron Man 3. I reckon that wouldn't be too bad. Hunger Games, Zombieland 2. So a lot of really, yeah, it's going to be some good sort of movies, I think, coming out, I think. Good sort of fun movies. So next question is, what are we? Oh, my favourite foods. Yeah, I don't know, probably McDonald's. No. I don't know, I just sort of eat I don't mind sort of a lot of pastas, and, you know, pizza, and you know, I don't mind sort of Chinese, and I'm a big fan of chocolate. I eat a lot of chocolate and a lot of sugary sweets, I think. That's sort of one of my vices, I think. Yeah, that's that. So that's questions from Andrew. Thanks Andrew. Next questions are from Kitty2686, aka the Bluraymaniac, aka Chris. He wants to know, how many movies do I own, roughly? Well, I've already sort of answered that. He also wants to know, have I always lived in Australia, and what about Australia do I like the most? I have always lived in Australia. Not too sure what the best thing of Australia is. I don't know. I mean, I think in Australia we're very much a multicultural society. So we've got a lot of, you know, people from different sort of countries, you know, come to sort of live here, and we're sort of very open to that, I think. Well, some of us are anyway. And I don't know. Some ways we're very sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like democratic society. Very much you can, allowed to, do what you want, within reason, I guess. Whereas I think other places, I don't know, perhaps, I don't know, use China perhaps as an example. It's very much I wouldn't like to live in China. No offence to people who live in China, but it's very much a government-driven society. I think they sort of control, what sort of happens, and whereas in Australia you're a bit more free to sort of do what you want, I think. The third question is, what's my origin story as far as collecting movies goes? That's actually a pretty good question. I think I've always sort of liked movies. I always, really did enjoy watching movies, and but I used to just sort of burn them though. I used to sort of go to the video shop and just sort of, hire out the movies and then just sort of burn them onto a blank disc. And it wasn't until I sort of found YouTube and the YouTube community, I sort of noticed that you can get some really good, special editions on movies and really good, cool artwork, and I really started to, sort of appreciate the sort of actually owning the movies and sort of collecting, the actual movie itself, which I've never sort of. I mean, I obviously had, bought some before and had a few nice, editions and stuff. I mean, I don't know. Just for me, it just sort of seemed like when I sort of started on YouTube, it seemed to be movies were starting to get more of a sort of special editions for them. I don't know if it's just me, but they seem to be, got steel books and digibooks and big sort of box sets and really special editions and stuff. Whereas I don't think we sort of had that before. At least I never sort of noticed that before until I found sort of the YouTube community. Why I suppose I started on YouTube, but I think I was a bit of a fan of movies, and so I used to sort of went on YouTube one day, sort of just search for top 10 animated movies, because I sort of wanted to sort of find more movies and sort of see what other people liked, and I found, it's just going to sound cliche, but I found Cool Dude's page, and he had a list of his top 10 favourite animated movies, and so I sort of watched that and thought that was really good. And this guy has like another video which I can watch. So I watched that, and then I thought, oh, there's another one. It took me a while to realise, oh, this guy's actually got like thousands of videos, and other people have got videos too about animated movies or whatever. And but just I was like really surprised that a lot of people on there just sort of talking about movies, and so then I thought, well, I should probably do the same thing, and give my opinion perhaps on movies and or what I thought, and so that's sort of the main reason I think I started YouTube, I think. Another question that Chris asks is, what is the first movie you ever saw or remember seeing? I had to have a bit of a think about that one. I was thinking, I was trying to decide whether between 1989's Batman, or might have been Hook, I think. But I think the Hook came out in 1991, so it must have been Batman, which I remember was like absolutely packed. I remember it sort of the line sort of went around the block, type thing. It's probably the most movies, biggest line I've ever seen. I think I've ever seen in a movie that I've ever went to. But having to think about it more, I reckon it'd have to be a film probably like when I was a lot younger. A film like, like Milo and Otis. I think they came out in '86. I think it was. I think that's probably the first one I can kind of remember. I mean, there probably would have been films before that that probably, kids movies or something I would have watched, but that probably would have been, or at least Batman probably would have been the first probably serious movie that I can sort of ever remember sort of watching. So thanks to Chris for those questions. Next questions are from indiodvdreviews. I think he's a fairly new subscriber to my channel, so thanks for the sub, man. He wants to know De Niro or Al Pacino. I really can't choose between the two. I think they've both been in some great films, I think. Like Taxi Driver and Godfather. The Godfather movies, and Goodfellas and Casino. I'm sure there's lots more than that, but both been in a lot of really good movies, so I can't choose between those two. Then we got Clint Eastwood or John Wayne. I don't think I've ever seen a John Wayne film. I might have seen one probably, but so I'd have to go with Clint Eastwood for that one. I reckon. I think he's been in a lot of really good films. A really good director, I think too. He knows how to make it a good film. I think. Bruce Willis or Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was a bit tough. That one, I think. Well, you got Bruce Willis was in Die Hard, wasn't he? And I think whenever someone asks, makes mention of an action film, I always think of Die Hard. I think that's just your quintessential action film, Die Hard. But I'd probably have to go probably Arnold Schwarzenegger. I reckon he's been in some just absolutely fantastic films. Total Recall, Terminator movies. Fantastic movies, I think. Then we got Alfred Hitchcock or Stanley Kubrick. I think probably Alfred Hitchcock would probably have to be the one for that one. You think he's obviously probably the most famous director of all time. I think he made some really good films. I think those are some films I want to sort of re-watch of his, which I haven't sort of seen for quite a while. The Birds and Rear Window and Lifeboat and Dial In for Murder. Yeah, that's another one. Okay, so next set of questions is from AlmostDomi, Dominic. She wants to know, if I could only watch 5 movies for the rest of my life, what would they be? That'd be a fairly hard question, I think. I don't know, probably just my top 5 movies, I suppose. Just sort of films that I just really really enjoy watching, I guess. And probably maybe films that are sort of uplifting, I suppose. Like I don't know. I don't want to use a cliche, I suppose, but Shawshank Redemption, I suppose, would probably be a good film. In that case, to sort of watch it. It's only going to be only 5 films, I guess. But it's just some of my favourite films, I suppose. Turtles or Blues Brothers or I guess just films like that, I suppose. Yeah. The question is, what movies am I looking forward to seeing this year? Well, I sort of answered that before, didn't I? But yeah, just probably the Hobbit and the Hunger Games. And some of even perhaps some of the sort of comic book movies, the new Thor movie or the new Wolverine movie or DayZ. Okay, next question is from MNMreviews. He wants to know what movies are some of my guilty pleasures. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I've just trying to think of some that I sort of find as guilty pleasures, I suppose. I mean, you could probably say perhaps the Resident Evil movies, I suppose. They're not particularly masterpieces, but they are good sort of fun films to watch, and I guess some of them more sort of chick flicks, I suppose too. Sandra Bullock movies or teen movies, I suppose. 10 Things I Hate About You, and just some of those sort of movies, I guess. Battleship, that's probably counted as a guilty pleasure, I think. So that's that. Thanks for questions. And last set of questions is from, I think this alright, 08YDirt. I think the guy's name's Travis. I think I'll look that up. I think he's another fairly new subscriber to my channel too, so thanks for the sub. He wants to know what movie made you shed a tear? Or that's another good question. I'm not sure if I can answer or not. I mean, I don't know, probably I don't know. Some ways, perhaps. I just sort of watch sort of E.T. I suppose. That's probably one that sort of it can be quite upsetting in certain scenes, or even sort of Avatar. I guess that's that's upsetting too. I think. I think the only two that I can sort of think of. I mean, you've got certain sort of scenes. I did sort of mention perhaps Brave before, the movie Brave that came out the other year. That was quite emotional. I think when the mother sort of fighting off that bear, type thing. I sort of found that quite emotional. And the second question, he wants to know, what do I think of the Crocodile Dundee movies? that says, sorry, but I had to do that. I had to ask you that question. I don't think I've ever sort of seen those movies years and years ago. I think it's been quite a long time since I've sort of seen them. But I think I do remember them being, you know, quite sort of fun movies. So I should probably rewatch them again, actually. Pretty sure, I don't know if you can perhaps, if they're released on Blu-ray yet, are they? I don't know. I don't think they are. I mean, they might not even be released on DVD. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they must be though. I should probably, you know, track them down and give them a watch, I think. But yeah, I definitely, from what I remember, they are definitely, you know, not pretty good movies, I think. So yeah, so that's all the questions. Thanks again to everyone that sort of, you know, asked those questions. I really do appreciate it, and I did sort of have fun answering, even though I couldn't answer some of them. Just yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my answers. If you want to leave some comments below, that'd be great. Yeah, and I'll be back soon. I'm sure with another video for you. So for now, bye. Okay, so I'm back again. I was just sort of doing my editing of my video, and I realised actually some questions missing. I did sort of answer all the questions that were in my comments, but there was another YouTuber, TameLeo68. He did actually ask me some questions. But for some reason they weren't in my comment section, so I did a bit of research, and I think he's actually closed his account down. Not too sure what happened there. He was a really good YouTuber, so I'm not quite sure if he just got sick of it or if someone hacked him or I don't know, whatever. But anyway, I remember what the questions were, so I might just answer them anyway. I'm pretty sure the first question was he said that I watch it, that I seem to like watching a lot of sort of obscure sort of animation type movies, and how did I sort of start doing that? Well, I think I'd sort of just started to watch probably like heavy metal. I think might have been perhaps the first movie that I watched. I wanted to sort of find movies that were sort of similar to that, so I did a bit of research and on some of the sort of the movie websites, and just sort of found a list of other movies. So I started to watch them, and I just sort of enjoy trying to find sort of different movies and sort of weird and crazy ones that are a bit sort of different to the sort of the mainstream. So that's sort of why, and plus they don't sort of make a lot of sort of hand-drawn old school type movies anymore. So yeah, so that's that. The other question he asked me was what was the origin of the 626323 at the end of my Rob username. Well, this is a bit silly, I suppose. I've had this name for quite a while. I think my very first car was like a Mazda 323, so I think I tried to use 323, but that was taken. So I think I ended up putting 323 626. So this would have been before I had my YouTube account. This would have been probably years and years ago before that. So that's pretty much the origin of that. It's just that just because I like Mazda cars at the time. So. Yeah, so that's his two questions. I'm not quite sure why he closed down his account, but hopefully he'll come back again. Anyway, so that's my end of my video. So yeah, bye.